Have you ever felt like a ghost in your own life? Like the world moved on and left your dreams in the rearview mirror? We often tie our worth to our output, the titles we hold, the zeros in our bank account, or the applause of the crowd. But what happens when the applause stops? What happens when the world no longer seems to have a place for the gift you were born to give? A master craftsman named Marcel is about to find out. He believes he is a man the world has passed by, a creator whose name has been bleached away by time and dust. But as he's about to discover through the eyes of a child named Darla, being unseen by the world is not the same as being unknown by the Creator. This is a story about the dust that blinds us, the grace that finds us, and the rediscovery of a purpose that was never truly lost. In the industrial city of Ben, the air was often thick with the scent of coal and the relentless rhythm of progress. There lived a master stonemason named Marcel. For decades, Marcel's hands had shaped the very soul of the city, carving the intricate gargoyles and soaring arches of Ben's oldest sanctuaries. But as the city modernized, the artistry of the chisel was replaced by the efficiency of the mold. Marcel was eventually moved to a cramped, windowless shed behind a construction yard. His task was no longer to create beauty, but to smooth the rough edges of industrial concrete blocks. Over time, the silence of the shed mirrored the silence in his heart. He began to believe that if his work was no longer seen, then he was no longer significant. He stopped carving his mark into the stone. He became a ghost in his own life, convinced that his name had been erased from the ledger of the important. One gray morning, a young girl named Darla chased a stray kitten into the yard, eventually stumbling into Marcel's workspace. She found him sitting on a stool, his head bowed, looking at a heap of gray dust. "Is this where the statues come from?" Darla asked, her voice bright against the dull hum of the nearby factory. "No, child," Marcel replied without looking up. "This is where things are made to be forgotten. Ben doesn't want statues. It wants walls." Darla wandered over to a workbench and found a small piece of limestone that Marcel had used to test his tools years ago. It was a delicate, half-finished carving of an olive branch. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "Did you forget you made this?" "I didn't forget the stone," Marcel said sadly. "I think the world just forgot me." Darla looked at him with the piercing clarity only a child possesses. "My teacher says that even if you hide in the deepest cave, God still calls you by your name. She says he doesn't need a map to find us because he's the one who drew us." After Darla left, her words echoed in the cramped shed. Marcel pulled a small, worn Bible from his tool chest, a relic from his apprentice days. He turned to the book of Jeremiah, and his eyes landed on a verse he had highlighted long ago. "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." Marcel stared at his hands. They were covered in the gray dust of Ben, but they were the same hands that had once carved prayers into stone. He realized his mistake. He had allowed his utility to define his identity. He believed that because Ben had no use for his gift, God had no use for his soul. But his purpose wasn't a paycheck or a public monument. It was the divine spark of creativity placed within him by a master who never misplaces a single child. The next day, Marcel arrived at the shed early. He finished his quota of concrete blocks with a new sense of peace, but when the whistle blew, he didn't head home. He pulled a forgotten slab of fine-veined marble from under a tarp. With Darla's words in his mind, he began to carve. He worked for weeks, not for a commission or a gallery, but as an act of worship. He sculpted a scene of a small girl holding a lamp, light breaking through a thicket of thorns. When the piece was finished, he placed it in the window of his shed where the morning sun would hit it. And for the first time in years, he took up his smallest chisel and etched his name clearly at the base. Marcel, crafted by the hand of God. He understood, now, your worth is constant. Your value isn't determined by the market of the world. Small acts are sacred. A brick laid with love is more powerful than a tower built with pride. You are seen. Even in the shadows of Ben, the Creator's eye never left his mason. Marcel's story isn't just about a mason in a dusty shed. It's a mirror for every heart that has ever whispered, "Does my life still matter?" The world is a fickle judge. It will celebrate you today and replace you with a machine tomorrow. But your purpose was never at the mercy of the market or the trends of the time. Like Marcel, you may have stopped signing your work. You may have let your tools grow dull because you felt unneeded. But today, let this be your reminder. The master architect has already engraved your name on the palms of his hands. Your value is not a variable, it is a constant. Whether you are building cathedrals or smoothing concrete blocks, do it with the excellence of a soul that knows it is watched by heaven. Don't wait for the city of Ben to recognize you. Pick up your chisel, sharpen your spirit, and remember that you are already known, already loved, and forever called by name.